We all have our own story, and our special guest today went from pit digger to CEO. In his book, Labor to Leadership, he talks about his story, what he's learned along the way. And today he is going to share some of the many learning lessons that he's had and the wisdom that he's gained from his experience so that we can learn from his journey. Thanks so much for joining me. I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe marketing shouldn't be difficult. All you need is the right plan. I am super excited to have with me Jeremy Torisk from Atlantic Business Coaching. Jeremy, thanks for joining me, man. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm looking forward to digging into this. We all have our journey, and I love hearing about people's experiences because there's so many different things that we can learn from one another when we share those. So can't wait to dig into this. Before we do that, I want to ask you some rapid fire questions to help us get to know you. You ready to rock?
Absolutely.
Okay. When you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
What does that mean? Not working. Have you ever heard of TGIF?
Yes.
Well, around here it's TGIS. It means the grind includes Saturday and Sunday. When you're a small business owner, and I own 3 small businesses, every day is work. But when your work is your passion and it's your calling, then it's something you love doing. I never know what day it is. I just know that it ends in Y. Pretty much that's it. I get paid every day. I get to get up and do what I love every day. I get to help people every day. I get to help my son run his company, my wife run her company. And I've got 5 different spokes on my wheel that I run on this company. What's not working?
Yeah.
What's playing? I play every day.
Yes. So when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work.
Especially when it's a calling.
Yeah. When you're, what's your hidden talent?
Well, I don't know if it's hidden necessarily. There's a lot of videotape, but I used to be a professional drummer. And so I'm about to, tomorrow, drag the drum set out because my youngest son followed in my footsteps. He's a big drummer. And we're making TikTok videos. We're going to play Name That Tune with famous drum rolls, fills, beats, and 3 or 4 seconds. Name that tune and just make about 50 videos over the weekend and throw them up over the next couple weeks.
Okay, so side question. Who is your favorite drummer?
Taylor just passed. Love him. The Dave Matthews Band.
Okay.
That guy is amazing. And Neil Peart, another one who passed. Alex
Yes.
Van Halen.
Yes.
Some of these guys. John Bonham. Bonzo.
A buddy of mine is a drummer, and he always was just in awe of Neil Peart from Rush. So. Thank you.
Well, he had the ethic, and he was the writer, which is very impressive and not normal.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I'm going to give you 2 of them. One of them is called, it wasn't given, I was just told, act at the speed of instruction, and I adopted it. It's mine. Matt Thurrott out in California, big real estate investor guy, said it to me, and I adopted it. So that just means don't procrastinate. Do things at the moment they need to be done. Do the hard stuff first. Eat the frog. But really advice that I got was my very first very large promotion at Comcast when I was running the city of Hialeah, supervising construction crews. A guy named Mike Duncan, old-timer engineer, permit engineer, contractor, came up to me and said, make the best decision you can make with the facts and the information you have at the time. It's better to make a bad choice than no choice at all.
Yeah.
And also, when you have limiting facts, then make sure to use your head and not your heart. But make a decision and act, which leads back to act at the speed of instruction.
Yeah. The one thing that always stuck with me, and I can't remember who I heard this from, multiple people have talked about it, is just success in business is all about speed of execution. You just gotta take action and get things out there. What's one thing about you that surprises people?
One thing about me that surprises people is that I was homeless when I was 17. I don't have a high school diploma. I was homeless when I was 37, and I had 2 sons at that point. And so, yeah, I've made and lost a fortune and made it again, a 10X. Those are the couple of the big ones.
What does success mean to you?
Success is seeing a goal through to its natural conclusion. And what that doesn't mean achieving a goal. It means seeing it through. Failing is a natural conclusion most of the time. However, when you don't stick with something long enough to give it a chance to succeed, then you have done yourself a misservice, because so many people quit just before that last try that makes them successful. However, when your heart's not in it anymore, you've tried and tried and tried and you've tried and you've asked. That's another thing. You got to ask, what am I doing wrong? Look at who's doing it, get with them. And then at that point, if it leads you to something else, then that's a natural conclusion. And now you're on to something else, but you wouldn't have had that without trying. So that's success to me.
I love that. I've never had anybody explain it that way. It's a very interesting way to look at it, because frankly, most of the things we do don't succeed. So where's your happy place?
Above my left shoulder. It's called the Atlantic Ocean. That's why the business is Atlantic Business Coaching, plus the first guy that put a shovel in my hand when I was 20 years old, living in a garage. Charlie Yecker, his business was Atlantic Cable. But I grew up down here in South Florida in the Atlantic Ocean. And the Atlantic Ocean is where I go for my peace. I just need to get I had two brothers who committed suicide, one brother, one brother-in-law. And both times to reconcile my part in that was in that water. One time in the Caribbean, one time in the Atlantic, but in a body of salty water. For the most part, the Atlantic, because I live 20 minutes from it. But yeah, that's my happy place.
What qualities do you value in the people you spend time with?
So I only spend time with very few people physically in my presence, but I share a lot of time with people like you on podcasts and shows and virtual coffees. But they all have to be driven and really driven. They all have to be givers. They have to have a great sense of humor and thick skin, because I will dish it out and I like to take it. They have to be positive, and they have to be open-minded, so we can have true discussions like in the olden days when you could actually disagree with someone and find out why, and then come around and maybe see things their way. So open-mindedness is up there.
So you touched on your journey a little bit, Jeremy. Just give us the highlight reel here.
Oh gosh, it's one of those stories where it's just put your head down and keep going. It's like the duck under the water with his feet is just keep going and going, the little hamster wheel. Because I have my book is Labor to Leadership. It's right in the title. I was a homeless kid, but I worked my tail off as a kid. I used to cut grass from like 8 or 9 years old. I used to help my uncle stir cement. At 5 years old, I just loved helping, and working was therapeutic. And we come from a blue collar family. They just happen to like alcohol and pills a lot. So it made for not a very fun house, but actually it was fun, but it wasn't very good for the children, for me and my sister and brother. Yeah. But along the way, I learned that success leaves clues. That when I started getting my mind right, and 2 times 7 words changed my mindset drastically. The transition of my life, the trajectory, pivoted on 7 words that 2 people said, and never even knew what the impact they had on me. It gave me a chance to go from reactive, which is what you need to be when you're homeless, to proactive, which is what you do when you start believing yourself. And then when I was proactive, the successes started coming, and they started leaving clues. I started getting noticed by the bosses, and I started getting better jobs, and it just kind of grew from there. And I talk about how every morning we'd go to the shop, and all the installers would be out front talking about how much they drank, how many women they chased, and how many people they fought. And I would sweep the warehouse floor. No one had to ask me. I just didn't want to have anything to do with it. I wanted to go to work. That's what I wanted to do. All right. I like to work. And so that was kind of my journey, and it's never, ever, ever failed me. I'm not the smartest guy you'll ever meet. I'm not the quickest when it comes to learning new skills, but I'm the first in, I'm the last out. I'll never say I give up without having known that I've given it my all. And it's never failed me, ever. And even not talking about, I've lost a business and everything. I went homeless. I lost 5 vehicles, 19 employees, $600,000 in debt. I won because it taught me so much about what I didn't realize about business, because I just was the best operator you've ever seen. But the rest of the elements in business, which is the whole second half of my book, it ate my lunch. But when I learned that, and then I learned how to really connect with people, again, if I would have continued and not lost that business, I would be right in the middle of the back. I'd be running with the same cable dogs today. But because I lost that business, I'm a multimillionaire because I have grown multiple businesses since then to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 million dollars in revenue. And sold one of those businesses last year. In fact, yesterday was my last day. Today's April 1st, so we're taping this. Was my last day with the last company that I was owner with, and we had to stay on for 1 year. We sold that business for $30 million.
Yeah.
So, I tell you what, that's a clue. Success leaves clues. That's a win. And I guarantee you, if you're bigger and badder and you come to me and you take it all from me, I will be back. And next time I'll sell a business for 60 million within a couple of years.
So you mentioned 7 words that changed your path twice.
Yeah.
Were they the same 7 words or were they different? And what were they?
Random. My grandmother was everyone generations, when you come from a very dysfunctional family, oftentimes both sides of the family for generations were dysfunctional. So that's what happened to me. My grandmother was just as big of a drunk as my parents were. And after my sister's wedding, I was 20 years old, and I talked to my grandmother after the wedding. How was it? She said, your dad's new wife, just being a typical, B word. I don't know who your audience are. And I said, well, what the heck was she doing? Well, she kept running around telling everybody how Jeremy and Paulette aren't even Ronnie's kids. And so why did they have to be there is basically what she was saying. Well, those 7 words pretty much changed my life because that's how I found out I'm not my dad's son. But it was a relief because that family was so dysfunctional, both sides. And now I have potential because I was told I was dumb. I didn't graduate high school. I told you I was homeless at 17. I was a major brawler. I used to fight every single day, been in over 1,000 street fights. When you have no sense of pride, when you have no esteem, when you know you're dumb because people tell you, when you find out you're not related to that, now there's possibility. And that's the first time in my life I had potential. And then 2 years later, trying to find my biological dad, air quotes, I've said a lot of people, it was before internet, 1990. And finally, I got a phone number. I won't tell you how because it's in the book. It's a really pretty funny story. Even these 7 words are giving away some twist. But the second 7 words were when I called that phone number to the office where he worked, the secretary answered, law offices of Dewey, Screw 'em, and How. I changed the name of the company to protect the innocent, but those 7 words changed my life because now I was smart. My dad was a lawyer. I have a lawyer DNA. Now, was it true? Was he smart? No. He was actually an idiot. He died a few years after that. I never spoke with him for more than about 10 minutes in total, twice for 5 minutes. Never met him. I don't even know what he looks like today, to this day. And that was 30 years ago. But the proactive kick that I got from that, I'm not tethered to that track, and I'm smart. And from that day on, I was still digging ditches. But I was digging with a purpose, and I started getting promoted, like we talked about. That's what happened. And both those people, some lady answering the phone, or my grandmother doesn't even remember talking to me that night because she's blotto. They don't know what they did to me, but those 2 people might as well have given me $5 million each.
That's so fascinating, Jeremy, because so easy to hear those words and them not have any impact, right? Because they're very conversational, right? It's not super profound, but the first one allowed you to detach and not associate with something that was keeping you down. And the second one allowed you to relate and attach to something that was far more empowering for you. At least that's how I see it. Which is fascinating because I think most people would have heard those words and just would have kept on going.
Yeah, we would have been mad. Oh yeah, Joanne, that figures, But when she said it was jarring. But also, it really taught me a lesson of how the opposite is true too. How I allowed people my whole life tell me I was stupid. How many fights that I got into because I was so angry when it's just words. It's just words, but words have power. I'm a professional speaker, and my big keynote speech is called Harness Your Superpower. 7 core questions to profound positive transformation. And that is words. Your words are your superpower. When you can control your words, and then when you can, because your thoughts lead to your words and your words lead to your action.
Yeah.
So when you control that middle, you can't help what you think. You just can't. But you can't control your words.
Yeah.
And your words lead to action. And so that when you can control that, you have a superpower, and you could use it for bad. And I don't want to do hero movies, so
Yeah.
I can't give you a bad guy, or you could use it for good. You could be mean, you could lie, you can manipulate, or you can use it for good. You can be positive, empowering, right? Uplifting.
Yeah.
And you have your choice. You could be egotistical, that's evil. You could believe your own hype. So you got a lane there. Choose your choice.
So looking back on your experience, Jeremy, what are the top 3 to 5 things that instantly stand out for you?
Well, I have 3 guiding principles that we base our company off. One is build your brand by building personal relationships. So we're so used to transactional relationships, building transactional. You meet a person and you find out that they are in the market for what you do, and instantly you start treating them like a sale.
Yeah.
So when you get rid of that reaction and you start building a personal relationship with everyone you meet that's worth being in your orbit, then you start really building your brand, because you're not selling, you're just helping. And when you let people know who you help and how you help them, and then you ask more questions than you tell, you start learning about other people, and then you can start referring and introducing other people. And once you do that enough, people really start wanting to help you back. And there's a whole thing. I just wrote a post about blessing. Don't be a blessing blocker. I've been a blessing blocker my whole life. So that's just, let people help you, and they get blessed for helping you. That's why I'm so successful, because I help so many people. But I wouldn't want people helping me. So in building these relationships, I can be a blessing to them by letting them help me, by asking for help. So building your brand by building personal relationships. Number 2 is that drive I talked about. I don't let people in my life without drive. And I'm not talking about they're very motivating. Motivations are like baths, all right? They're great, but you need it every day, just like Zig Ziglar said. But drive you go through anything. And how do you get drive? You have to examine your whys almost every day, every couple days, every week, every month, at least every month. Really sit down and figure out why you're doing what you're doing, why you're helping who you're helping, why the people in your life are in your life. And that will give you drive. It'll build it like a callus. And the third one is, obviously, we talked about it, is always be sure to be in a proactive mindset. Get rid of that reactive mindset, proactive mindset.
I love it. Do you see drive and discipline being like, are they
They're same.
brother, sister? Are they the same? How do you view that?
You can't have drive without discipline.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you have drive, discipline, it just comes with it. But if you don't have discipline, you'll never have drive. You need discipline first, then you'll build the drive. When you understand your whys, the drive is built. But the discipline comes from the proactive side of your brain going, hey, I get to get up at 4:30 in the morning because no one's around, and I could do some journaling or positive journaling or working out or writing. I get to. So instead of I have to, is I get to. Once you do that, the discipline starts to build,
Yeah. Now, in your book, you talk about smart marketing. Obviously, I love to talk marketing as a marketer. Tell us about some of the marketing that you've done that's worked out best for you.
Well, I could tell you about some of that, but it's really, I've learned so much since I wrote that book that I'm not going to waste my time or your time telling you things that you're going to read in that book. That's why I'm writing another book, right? Because things change. And marketing, what I wrote about was more about traditional marketing, because when I was homeless and lost my company, I went to work for a marketing firm for 3 years that sold cable and home utilities. So it's kind of right up my alley, but I didn't know about selling and marketing, and I learned a lot. Got a PhD, really. Had a pretty hard day, a lot of them, right? Learning that, but I excelled at it eventually, did very well with there. But what I've learned since then, can I turn some of these new things?
Okay, so absolutely.
There's 2 things that you need to know about marketing. That you solve these 2 things, and you never have to sell anything again. Number 1, find out about your client, your prospect. You have to know who that is. When you find out that what their problem is that they don't want, and then figure out the results they want but don't have. That's it. 2 things. What's the problem they have but don't want, and what's the result they want but don't have. Now, with marketing, there's 4 parts of marketing. The interrupter, which is the headline of your let's look at it as a website. It's the headline. It's going to get someone's attention, right? Reticulated activation system. They see it, they stop, they read it. Your RAS automatically engages. The second part of that is engage. Because you're engaged, you're looking for information now. You saw something that caught your eye, and I'm engaged. So the subheadline has to be that there's more information coming. Get your information here, because when you're interested, you want to learn more about it. Only 1 to 3% of people want to buy right now. So when you get on this website, I'm the best person in the world with the lowest prices, the best quality, contact us here, call to action. 1 to 3% of the buyers are going to do it. Good. I want the other 97%. How you do that is you actually do educate them. So in the body, you got the interrupter, the engagement, which is the sub, then the education is next. Give them information. Give them really good information about what you do, who you help, why you help them, what differentiates you from the others. Yeah. And now they're going to be, okay, I'm in, because now they're in. Now the offer is in there, and that must be compelling and low or no risk. So what you want to do is you don't want to sell them right now. You want to get their information, just an email, put your email address here, get the top 10 reasons why you need this in your life. And that's the education. They're going to get that. It costs them nothing. Now you have their email. Now you do a drip campaign. It takes between 5 and 12 touches for someone to make a decision. They're going to make a decision then on value instead of price. And now you can be in business as a value provider instead of the best price. And now you can charge more than your competition because you're providing better value. And I can go on and on about jargon versus really educating and helping. And there's so much to learn there. I've been blessed and exposed to some really smart people in the last year on this journey since I left my last industry. I spent a lot of money, over $100,000 on coaches last year.
So I want to pull some things out of here. And by the way, thank you for talking about and highlighting, you got to know your who. Because I say almost exactly what you just said every day. So thank you for that, because now people are hearing it from somebody else other than me. But I want to dig a little bit deeper into this just to get your thoughts on it. What are some of the ways that you have used to get there where you do know what they're thinking, so that you can take what they're thinking and put your message out there in their own words?
I don't know if I'm unique, but my product is helping people, and I tend to help my former self.
Yeah.
And I know myself. I know how I was when I was a kid. I tend to help smaller businesses to mid-sized businesses. I love startups. I do a lot of philanthropy work with kids coming out of high school, starting businesses. I have a proof of concept. My son is 20 years old, been out of high school this is 3rd year. Last year, in his 2nd year, we built $350,000 worth of revenue for cutting grass in South Florida. We're over $400,000 this year. Last year, we had 8% profit, which stunk, but 2nd year of business. This year, we're on track for 20%. Next year, we'll have $1 million worth of revenue at 20%. It's a pretty good business in 4 years. Yeah. Most businesses don't even make it over that $1 million mark. So I know how to do it. I've done it I've done it 4 or 5 times in dramatic effort across the country with other companies. And I just help myself. I don't work with people, just like I don't buy stock that I don't understand. Yeah. If you need help that I don't understand, I got someone for you though. I got a great network, right? Because I got great relationships. Yeah. And then I capitalize on it. I leverage it. I get a percentage of it. Yeah. You know, it's a referral partner that I give and I get. And so we help each other financially or not. Sometimes I just give to give, but why not get some shekels? If you're giving enough and you guys have an agreement, everyone's making money, that's even better.
Do your referral, thank you for that. Do your referral partner relationships, how are they structured? Or do they vary depending on the partner?
Yeah, it always depends on the partner, because there's got to be trust and likability, and you have to believe in what they're doing. You got to know that they're helping the client. So that's very, very top, first and foremost. But if someone's looking for a car, I'm not going to get money for offering them a car. Yeah. If somebody wants specific training on something in their business that I don't have the specialized knowledge for, or I don't have the interest, or I don't have the time, I've got a bunch of people that do know that, and depending on the size of the business, I may want a piece of that. So for 10%, who wouldn't give me 10% for a free business, especially if I'm helping the person in 10 other ways in this one avenue? They know that they pay, they know their quality, they know that they're in our type of value system. Why not? Because I paid, when they've given me the stuff I pay. So why wouldn't I pay 10% for someone I know has good values and pay their bills and that they want to grow their business? Because, so it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
But it's not mandatory. There's other partners you just give business because you want to make sure that you're a value adder to the person's life. So you give them the person that can help them without going through the hoops of doing an affiliate program or, a profit sharing agreement. But why not if it makes sense though?
Right. Yeah. When you're making introductions, you're not doing it because you're getting paid. You're doing it because
99% of the time I'm not getting paid, but I don't do introductions if I can help it. Those are second tier. Referrals. I do introductions. Introductions is much, much more powerful and effective than referrals. So when I do an introduction, 99% of the time I don't get paid, but 1% I do, because it's in the vein of what a business model calls for, and it's pre-agreed. We say, hey, what if we do this? What if I see this? What if I hear about this? And does it make sense? If it does, we go and we put some paper on it, right? Trust but verify. Friends are friends, but put paper on it.
Yeah.
And the rest of the people in my life, anytime I do a referral, if I refer somebody, I try not to. I try to do an introduction because it's just so much more powerful than in a referral.
When you talk about the difference between an introduction and a referral, because I think I know where you're headed with this, and I want to make sure people get the value from this. What's the distinction there for you between an introduction and a referral?
So my kid cuts grass, and he's cutting somebody's grass, and it just looks 100 times better. And the neighbor notices, man, that grass. I walked my dogs by your house. I don't even know you, but who does it, right? Oh, this kid Garrett. He's a young kid. He works real hard. He always shows up. His prices are pretty competitive. Crew's good. Here's his number. So all of a sudden, Garrett gets a call. Hey, you cut one of my neighbor's lawns. Can you come by and give me a quote? Sure. Come by. Garrett comes by and gives him a quote. He probably won't give him a discount. He probably won't even know in the discussion if the guy doesn't mention who it came from. He's not going to know. Yeah. But when there's an introduction, now the guy says, okay, give me your phone number and your email address, and I'll do an introduction. So Garrett gets an email and says, hey, Garrett, this is John from Smith Street, and my neighbor Benny here wants a quote. He's a great guy. Make sure you hook him up. Hey, Benny, this is Garrett. He's the lawn guy. He's awesome. Well, now there's like a little conversation, and Garrett's now going to be able to reward the first guy for giving the referral.
Yeah.
But he's also going to treat this guy pretty good because he feels like the guy's proud of him, and he loves his work, and he has an impact on someone. He remembered him and thought of him. So he's going to want to do really good for this next guy to not let that guy down. It's just a whole warm feeling thing, and a trust, and it's pride. It's personable. It's just, the study shows that a referral will get you X and an introduction will get you X plus or times the multiplier, whatever it is.
You had touched on kind of the power of words, and the way it was described to me was just an introduction is a much more powerful word than referral, right? Like, we want to be introduced. I don't know how many of us necessarily want to be referred. So I don't know if that's just in most people's heads or what, but thank you for making that distinction, because I think it's much more powerful to think of it from the point of view of an introduction rather than a referral. Sure. I want to transition and talk about sales. So we touched on marketing a little bit. Man, I don't care like what business you're in. If you own a business, you are a marketer and you are a salesperson, period.
You're HR too.
So
every position.
Yeah. So let's talk about sales a little bit. What kinds of tips, tricks, things have you learned on your journey when it comes to sales?
The best thing I say is that get rid of the tips and tricks. And there's just really, it comes down to science and sociology. Yeah. People don't like to be sold.
Yeah.
They don't like it. What they like is to have confidence when they buy something, and they want value in what they buy. So it goes back to the 1 to 3% of the buying public is ready to buy something. So when you try to sell them, maybe you're going to get them. But when you educate the other 97% of people, when you give them value by giving them information on what you do, help them in some way understand what you do, make yourself the value adder, maybe not the product or the service, but you yourself, because again, they know you, like you, trust you, the whole Bob Berg, Go Giver deal, which he's a buddy of mine. So great stuff, but that's what it is. Most prospects are value buyers, not price buyers. Okay, 97% of people are looking for value. So when you offer a report of the 10 things that your business does that your competition doesn't, and not even about you, here's 10 things you must know before you do X. Don't even make it about yourself, but you're providing that. Now you're the subject matter expert. Okay? Decision process is, what are the benefits of ownership? What are the objections to the ownership? And what are the selection criteria? Once you understand those three things, you can give the information to answer those questions. When they are ready, they will be in your store buying or on your website clicking. And so that's what the drip campaign is for, is by giving them the benefits. And benefits are not features. Benefits and features, a feature is a result of a benefit. So give them the benefit and the feature, and then figure out what the objections are and answer those in another email, and then let them know about the criteria. What really separates you, not what we have the best prices. Well, I should hope so. We've been in business 10 years. Well, I should hope so. We have, the best of integrity. Well, I should hope so. Or take credit cards. I should hope so.
Yeah.
What really do you do that separates you?
Yeah.
So when you answer those questions and you make it easy to see, people will come to you. You're never selling. You are just providing value. And you never want to go sell on price. So what you do, a trick to getting around that, is bundling. That's the easiest trick. Everyone's watched architecture, whatever, that the American Pickers, right? Mm-hmm. Right. The bundle. That's the deal. So when you take product X and put it with product, Z, now there's no comparison to anyone else on price, because you have two things. You can't do that. Now there's not apples and apples. It's apples and oranges. So now you've taken price out of the equation, and you could actually sell on value, because you're going to make them feel like they got more for the money they're spending. And because they're value shopping, they feel comfortable and confident that they've got more in value than they're paying in money. Yeah. So that's one little trick that you can do is when you're price fighting, price wars, start bundling. Get away from pricing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of us have heard this, but man, there's always going to be somebody that's going to beat your price. So
of course, because they're idiots and they don't understand how P&Ls in business, like I didn't, and I lost everything. We didn't understand what a real margin is and what overhead is, and what we do very deep dives. Yeah, we have 40 items within your business that we check to make sure you're not losing money on in our business coaching. And a big percentage of that is, are you priced right? And what is your overhead? What is your break-even point? And we go deep into all that stuff, because once you understand that, then you can start doing this stuff and price your stuff higher than it was before, because you're adding more value, and really start making profit.
Yeah. One of the other things you said that I think is easy for people to miss is that most prospects are actually value buyers, not price buyers. But I think a lot of us, me included at times, think it's about price. And for most of the time, it's not.
No, unless your name is Christy Torisk, who's my wife. I try to tell her about value. She's like, this one's $4 cheaper. My wife is definitely a price shopper, but most people are value shopper when you can make them see the value. And I kid her, because when there is true value, she will spend more. But when you learn that trick and you get some confidence, put some bass in your voice, get that confidence, know that go ahead. I cannot serve everyone. You don't want to be that person that can sell everything to everyone. I got a person who I know I need to sell to, who's going to be valuable, who's going to refer me, going to introduce me, he's going to be a repeat buyer, he's going to want to pay more, who's going to do all this other stuff. You're going to be able to upsell them, you're going to be able to get them on recurring charges for something else. when they have a problem, they're going to come to you to solve it instead of start going all over the world, trash talking you, because you're going to solve their problem.
Yeah.
You better.
This has been an awesome conversation, Jeremy. I really appreciate you sharing your story. It's man, your journey has been very up and down. You've experienced some things that I wouldn't want anybody to have to experience. So, what thoughts do you want to leave us with today?
Well, it goes back to act at the speed of instruction. What's got me through my life is it's almost like a shark. Just don't stop moving. Just don't stop moving. That's the kiss of death.
Yeah.
I'll show you my LinkedIn page right here. It says our kind of a model. Our world-class athletes need continuous coaching to keep up with the best in their fields. So do world-class business professionals. Always have a coach. I've got 2 coaches right now. I got a guy teaching me TED Talks, and I got a guy teaching me this brand new software that I just am implementing in the business that's amazingly automated, and it's going to be crazy. That's at AtlanticBusinessCoaching.com. That'll be up in a week or so. But always always have a coach. So no matter what you're doing, even if it's for the fun stuff, I like golf. Get a golf coach.
Yeah.
Learn something. But if you want to grow your business, have a business coach, because you don't know everything. You're too close to the fire. You're just too close. You got too much skin in the game. You got too much probably leverage margin out there, and people that come in with fresh eyes and software that ask the right questions in the right time will get you over these humps. And then just act. Make the decision to act. Make the decision and do it. Do the hard stuff.
I love it, man. People want to learn more about you. You mentioned Atlantic Business Coaching is going to be up soon. They can always go to jeremytorisk.com.
JeremyTorres.com is right there. That's a pretty good place. There's a contact me. That's my speaking page. I'm a professional speaker. So if you have a convention, trade shows, we do all sorts of workshops at companies, teaching them anything they need to know about business, DISC assessments for personality. There's a lot of that. My harness thing is all about empowerment and employee retainage, onboarding, hiring practices, anything business. You name it. I know it, or I know someone who can serve you. And then we do remote learning through the e-system. It'll be AtlanticBusinessInstitute.com. That'll be open in about a week or two. And I can find anyone $10,000 to $100,000 in 45 minutes guaranteed, with $0 to me and $0 out of your pocket for this information. So 45 minutes, $10,000 to $100,000 guaranteed in any business whatsoever. First day starting, or been in business with $5 million of revenue, I will find you over 100,000 in that case in 45 minutes. I guarantee it. I've never not found it. Never. Yeah. 0 times.
Awesome stuff, Jeremy. Thank you so much for taking the time. I do appreciate you. For those that are watching, listening, I appreciate you as well. Again, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing. If you guys are struggling with your marketing, you got to have a plan. No plan is perfect, but you have to start somewhere, and your plan will outline your priorities and give you clarity. If you need help with that, head on over to growthmarketingplan.com. We've got our 90-day marketing plan kit there, all the downloads, tools, resources that you need are right there. So head on over to growthmarketingplan.com. Thanks so much. Until next time, take care.